by black people here in America in 1964. The power structure started the new year out the same way they started that out in Washington the other day. Only now they call it, what's that, the Great Society? The Great Society. And last year, this 1964 was supposed to be the year of promise. They opened up the new year in Washington, D.C., and in the City Hall, and in Albany, talking about the year of promise. Promise that black people would make advances in education, we'd get better schools, better school facilities, better teachers, that jobs would open up. There would be less black people in the unemployment line. That in areas of the South where we formerly had not been able to vote, we would be able to register and vote. That we would become socially acceptable to those who in the past did not consider us socially acceptable. But by the end of 1964, we had to agree that instead of the year of promise, instead of these promises materializing, they substituted devices to create the illusion of progress. And 1964 was the year of illusion and delusion. We received nothing but a promise. We received nothing that would actually solve the problems that we were confronted by in January of 1964. In 1963, they had used a trick. One of their devices to let off the steam of prostration was the March on Washington. They used that to make us think we were making progress. Imagine marching to Washington and getting nothing for it whatsoever. But it shows you how shrewd the power structure is. It makes the people through the leaders, as long as the people believe in the leaders. In 63, it was the March on Washington. In 64, what was it? The Civil Rights Bill. Right after they passed the Civil Rights Bill, they murdered a Negro in Georgia and did nothing about it. Murdered 2 whites and a Negro in Mississippi and did nothing about it. So that the Civil Rights Bill has produced nothing where we're concerned. It was only a valve, a vent, that would enable us, that was designed to enable us to let off our frustration. But the bill itself was not designed to solve our problems. Since we see what they did in 1963 and we saw what they did in 1964, what will they do now in 1965? If the March on Washington was supposed to lessen the explosion, and the Civil Rights Bill was designed to lessen the explosion, that's all it was designed to do. It wasn't designed to solve the problem. It was designed to lessen the explosion. Because everyone in his right mind knows there should have been an explosion. You can't have all those ingredients, those explosive ingredients that exist in Harlem and elsewhere where our people suffer and not have an explosion. So these are devices to lessen the danger of the explosion, but not designed to remove the material that's going to explode. What will they give us in 1965? I just read where they plan to make a black cabinet member. Yes, they have a new gimmick every year. They're going to take one of their boys, black boys, and put him in the cabinet so he can walk around Washington with a cigar, fire on one hand and fool on the other hand.
At this point in the speech, Malcolm X becomes even more direct. He doesn't soften his words. He doesn't try to sound diplomatic. He explains that power only responds to one thing, more power. It doesn't step aside when someone smiles. It doesn't change because someone prays. It doesn't move when someone chooses nonviolence. He says clearly that the nature of power is to keep control unless something stronger forces it to change. He uses examples from Southeast Asia, the Congo, and Cuba to show that people in other countries understand this. They have taken control of their own freedom by pushing back against power in ways that can't be ignored. He makes it clear that the people there are not confused about how real change happens. Then Malcolm shifts his focus back to the United States. He looks at 1964 not as a year of victory, but as a year of false promises. He says that black people in America were promised better education, better jobs, and more political rights. He lists each promise: better schools, better teachers, more job opportunities, the right to vote, the hope of being accepted socially. But by the end of the year, none of it had come true. The government didn't deliver results. It delivered distractions. Malcolm calls 1964 a year of illusion and delusion. The people were told they were making progress, but nothing actually changed. Nothing was solved. He reminds the audience that in 1963, the March on Washington was used to cool things down. It was meant to let people feel like something big was happening, even though it didn't bring any real solutions. Then in 1964, the Civil Rights Act became the new symbol. But it didn't stop the murders in Georgia and Mississippi. It didn't stop injustice. It didn't fix anything. He says these actions weren't meant to help. They were meant to stop people from getting too angry. The government wasn't trying to remove the reasons for rebellion. It was trying to manage emotions. Malcolm calls them what they are: tools, tricks, not answers. Finally, he asks the most important question. If they used the March on Washington to quiet people in 1963 and used the Civil Rights Bill to do the same thing in 1964, what will they try next? He says there should have already been an explosion because the pain, the rage, and the injustice are still there. The government hasn't dealt with the root problems. It has only tried to stop people from reacting. Malcolm wants the audience to understand that these so-called solutions were never meant to solve anything. They were designed to delay the response. They were created to buy time. He warns that time is running out.
Have the causes that made it slow in 63 been removed? The causes are still there. How can you sit around and naively, in such a naive way, and make yourself think that things are getting better when the causes that created the bad conditions still remain? The only one whose problem is solved is the leader. They get the peace prize, while the people have no peace. Or as he himself said, while he's up on the mountain, the people are in the valley. I'm going to tell you why it's going to flow. And then bring my little talk to a close. In 1964, 97% of the black American voters supported Lyndon B. Johnson, Edith Humphrey, and the Democratic Party. 97%. No one minority group in the history of the world has ever given so much of its uncompromising support to one candidate and one party in the history of the world. No one people, no one viewer has ever gone all the way to support a party and its candidate as did the people, the black people in America in 1964. Look how many people voted for Goldwater. Over 26 million. Why, when you deduct the non-white people from the total white population, you find out that white people were almost evenly divided between Goldwater and Johnson. Yes! Go get the total number of voters in this country and find out how many of them are white. Deduct the non-whites, the Puerto Ricans, and the Negroes, and the others, and you'll find out that white people didn't support Johnson like they want to brag that they did. The non-whites won for him 97%. And the first act of the Democratic Party Lyndon B. included. In 1965, when the representatives from the state of Mississippi refused to support Johnson, came to Washington, D.C., and the black people of Mississippi sent representatives there to challenge the legality of these people being seated. What did Johnson say? Nothing. What did Humphrey say? Nothing. What did Robert Pretty Boy Kennedy say? Nothing. Nothing. Not one thing. These are the people that black people have supported. This is the party that they have supported. Where were they when the black man needed them last couple days ago in Washington, D.C.? They were where they always are, twiddling their thumb someplace in the pool room or in the gallery. So black people in 1964 will not be controlled by these Uncle Tom leaders. You believe it? They won't be held in jail. They won't be held on the plantation by these overseers. They won't be held in the corral. They won't be held back at all. The frustration of these black representatives from Mississippi when they arrived in Washington, D.C. the other day, thinking, that the great society was going to include them, only to see the door closed in their face like that. That's what makes them think. That's what makes them realize what they're up against. It is this type of frustration that produced the Mau Mau. They reached the point where they saw it takes power to talk to power. It takes power to make power respected. It takes madness almost to deal with a power structure that's so corrupt. So corrupt. So in 1965, we should see a lot of action. Since the old methods haven't worked, they'll be forced to try new methods. If you read the article in this week's U.S. News and World Report, which is not the best magazine in the world, where it does tell, though, that the Big Six, they call themselves the Big Six, the leaders of the black community who have been endorsed by the white community, the Big Six, they themselves are turning to Africa. Dr. King, Farmer, all of them are admitting that the problem of the black man in America is inseparable from the problem of the African. Dr. King and Mr. Farmer and the others, Roy included, Uncle Roy, are admitting that the problem of that the black man cannot get dignity in America until the black man has dignity on the mother continent. They're admitting this. They're admitting that the roots of the black man in America are still in Africa. They're admitting this. I was shocked to see them admit so much, so soon, so publicly. I was shocked to see that they will say in public what they've always agreed to in private. I was shocked. But it shows that they themselves are undertaking a revolutionary approach to the problem. They're beginning to see that the problem of the black man in America no longer is a Negro problem or an American problem. It's a world problem. When they begin to identify our struggle with the struggle of the brothers on the mother continent, then these Big Six, Uncle Roy, are seeing the necessity of internationalizing the problem. Now, either they have to deny it or confirm it. But I don't think this magazine would say all what it has said and quote them too. Here it has Dr. King saying there is a growing willingness among U.S. Negroes to identify with the Africans. There is a sense of pride as American Negroes see positions of importance in the United Nations, accorded courtesies which American Negroes are not accustomed to receiving in their own country. Dr. King talking. He He was up on the mountain. And he's there beginning to see that's the only way the black man in this country will ever get any solution to his problem. It will have to be a solution which the government in Washington has no hand in. Because the government can't solve the problem. The government consists of crackers from Mississippi and Georgia and Alabama and Arkansas and Texas. So they are beginning to see that it is not we who should be taking our problem to Washington, but it is we who should be taking Washington to the United Nations. It is not we who have committed the crime. It is not we who have committed the crime. It is our government that has committed the crime. Our government has failed to protect our lives, to protect our property, to give us proper education. It has failed to even give us the proper facilities for education. It has failed to house us. It has failed, as the men there in the book up in Boston, when they dumped all the tea in the sea, taxation without representation has got to go. So I say in my conclusion, to read from another newspaper, many of you say, well, would we have the right to take the problem of the black man in this country before the UN? I say yes, because here it says, this was in the Post a couple days ago. The Post is a New York paper, represents itself as liberal, which is a misrepresentation. It says, House asked to condemn Soviet treatment of Jews. Representative Halpern of Queens urged the House today to condemn what he termed the odious and discriminatory treatment of the Jewish community in the Soviet Union. He drafted resolutions for introduction that would condemn Russia for the persecution of Jews and place the House on record as favoring continued American efforts to obtain through the UN world condemnation and prohibition of anti-Semitism in treaty form. Soviet policy, Halpern said in a prepared speech, involves a premeditated effort to stamp out Jewish culture and religion. It is a deliberate policy, but also a secretive one. If this representative voted into office, probably by many people sitting right here, can go to Washington, D.C. and get that house, that governmental body, to stick its nose in what's happening to 3 million people all the way on the other side of the world, and have that government brought into the United Nations and condemned for its abuse of the rights of those 3 million people. I say that the 22 million black people in this country are justified and within our rights as our brothers on the African continent to take this government into the United Nations and protect us.
Malcolm X pulls no punches. He doesn't end with hope. He ends with clarity. He starts by exposing the massive political loyalty black Americans showed in 1964. 97% voted for the Democratic Party, believing it would defend their rights. He points out how no other group in history has ever given such full support to a party or candidate. He highlights this number not to celebrate it, but to question it. He wants the audience to understand how one-sided the support was, and how little was given in return. He moves from the election to the betrayal. When representatives from Mississippi came to Washington to challenge the seating of racist officials, black leaders who were supposed to stand up stayed silent. Not a word from Lyndon Johnson, Hubert Humphrey, or Robert Kennedy. These are the same people who black voters supported without hesitation. But when it was time to return that support, when it mattered, they were absent. The message is not subtle. He wants people to stop waiting for these figures to deliver anything. He wants them to stop trusting in people who have repeatedly shown they cannot be counted on when it matters most. He also calls out the so-called black leaders. He says they will no longer control the people, not with fear, not with respectability, not with the same old plantation mentality. The leaders who were once respected are now being questioned because their loyalty often lies with the people in power, not the people they claim to represent. Malcolm shows that even these leaders are starting to realize that the problems faced by black Americans are connected to global struggles. He notes that even Dr. King and others are beginning to admit that the fate of black people in America is tied to what happens in Africa and across the world. This moment in the speech is important. Malcolm is no longer just criticizing the American government. He's now shifting the focus to international ground. He argues that the fight is no longer just an American issue, it's a global issue. He says the United States government has committed crimes against its own citizens and has failed its own people. The government has failed to protect black lives, failed to provide proper education, failed to guarantee safety, and failed to deliver basic rights. These aren't mistakes. He calls them crimes, and crimes should be brought before the world. He builds his case by pointing to a real example, a U.S. representative demanding the United Nations condemn the Soviet Union for its treatment of Jewish people. Malcolm uses this to make his point. If the United States can go to the United Nations to defend 3 million Jews in Russia, then why can't 22 million black people in America demand the same level of international attention? He says clearly that the case of the black American belongs at the United Nations because the problem is not just domestic, it is global. It involves human rights, not just civil rights. Malcolm closes by calling for international action. He says it is no longer about taking our problems to Washington. It is about taking Washington to the world stage. The American government has already proven it will not fix the problem. So now it's time to expose the government itself. That's where he leaves the audience. Not with comfort, but with direction. He doesn't offer false hope. He offers a path forward that is rooted in truth, not illusion. If you found this valuable, please take the time to like the video, subscribe for more, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. For political rights, he lists each promise: better schools, better teachers, more job opportunities, the right to vote, the hope of being accepted socially. But by the end of the year, none of it had come true. The government didn't deliver results. It delivered distractions. Malcolm calls 1964 a year of illusion and delusion. The people were told they were making progress, but nothing actually changed. Nothing was solved. He reminds the audience that in 1963, the March on Washington was used to cool things down. It was meant to let people feel like something big was happening, even though it didn't bring any real solutions.
And he couldn't check him by bringing his attention to his wrong, so he hauled off and smacked him upside his head. Pow! And that kind of liberty that Moses took got him put out of Egypt. Say, hey, you got to get out of here with this stuff you got here, boy. You don't belong with us. Get out of here. They exiled him. They put him out in the desert, right? He got out there in the desert and met a wise man. The wise man turned him on to the way of God. Then he got inspired. He said, hey, I think I see fire. So I think I'll go there to the fire. Maybe I'll bring back something that will serve as a light or something as heat for you. And after he had that experience, he went back to Pharaoh. Hey, I thought we put you out of here. Didn't we exile you some time ago? What are you doing here? So God says, let my people go. Say, hey, what you joking or something, Moses? We know you. Don't you know you our boy? Say, who is this God you talking about? Say, the only God I know is myself. That's what Pharaoh told him. So who is this God you talking about, Moses? The only God I know is myself. Said, but do you give life and give death? Pharaoh said, yeah, I give life and give death. If you don't straighten up, I'm getting ready to kill you right now. Yeah, who's this God you talking about? Say, the one who created everything and thereafter gave it its guidance. And Pharaoh, that shook him, you know. Hey, what's this? Hey, this boy looked like he had met something else. He ain't the same fella that left here. So, hey, I'm going to tell you again. God said, let my people go. Say, are you threatening me, Moses? Yeah. So God said, he's going to take your firstborn if you don't let my people go. Then he presented him with one threat after another, right? And the God he served backed Moses up. He sent him and he backed him up. Pretty soon Pharaoh, he lost his cool. He organized his men to battle with Moses and his followers. And as a consequence, he was drowned in the sea. Right? That's that great history that we just mentioned in brief here. Great history. Great history. Now, dear beloved people, we in these United States, the true yearning for freedom in us is a yearning for religious freedom. And instead of getting that religious freedom, we were fascinated so much, enchanted so much, enamored so much with the hope of being accepted by our rejectors. You know, pimps and other playboys and pretty boys that make a business out of romancing women, they know that the way to get a woman hooked is to reject her for no reason that she can find. And she will be tied up forever trying to find out how come I'm not wanted. He'll have her forever. She ain't gonna rest until she win him. Because she's rejected but don't know why. See, I'm fine, I know I'm fine. I know I whipped it on him right. How come he won't come around? And he's pushing her off. Hey, no, God, leave me alone. So the experience we had with the white man had the power to produce the same kind of thing in us. White man rejected us, and we don't know why he treat us like this. Why are we so offensive to him? Why is our flesh so offensive to him? We're human like he is. How come he becomes so upset just by our presence? Why he doesn't even want us drinking out of the same water fountain with him? Bird come up there and drink out of the fountain. and drink behind the bird. I drink out of the fountain, they lynch one of us and take the fountain up and throw it away. So he put a big question in your mind. Why in the hell do I provoke you to go to these extremes? You got false notions about me, man. Let me hug you. Feel me. I'm just like somebody else. I'm just like anybody else. Come on, kiss me. Come on, please, kiss me. I'm just like anybody else. Tongue me. I'm just like anybody else. Let's have sex. You see, I'm just like anybody else. Hey, let's have a baby. You see, we can have a baby. I'm just like anybody else. Don't run. Let me sit by you in the park. I'm just like anybody else. Hey, where you going? Don't leave. I'm just like anybody else. Hey, you don't know what these things can do to your soul and to your nature and your spirit. So we want to prove ourselves to him, huh? We want to prove ourselves. And then what happens now? We have a yearning to be religiously free. We want to find religious freedom. Then he opened the church to us, and we walked into the doors, and there is the image of him saying, "Come unto me."
Praise be to Allah. But if we don't study the Quran, if we don't read it and become familiar with it, if we don't study the life of Prophet Muhammad and become familiar with the events in his life, with his personality, with his principles, his spirit, his temperament, his wisdom, if we don't get acquainted with that, somebody can come behind me and take you into something that will be as foreign to this as the old was. And you will still be calling yourselves Muslims because you don't know what it is in its true content. Don't waste your time, you youngsters, you teenagers, you young students, you bright-minded youngsters. Don't waste your time following these stupid people who bribe you to recruit you into their slave-making thing and promise you nothing but animal pleasures. Don't be fooled by them. Look at what has happened. Go talk to the wise if your mind ain't strong enough. Go talk to the wise in religion. Talk to the wise in science and ask them what they think about the history of this community and the transition going on by my leadership with the help of God. Ask them what they think about Imam Muhammad, his personality and what he's doing. Ask them what they think about it. So you will get another point of view from people who have credit and not be recruited in by these Uncle Toms, these slaves of the establishment. And when you are convinced by your own intelligence that what Imam Mahdi Muhammad represents is the best opportunity for us, is the more dignified thing to support, then lay to it. Put your brain to it. Put your heart in it. And put your brain to it. And spend your energy advancing the life content of the Muslim as it is in the Quran, as it is in the Sunnah, and as I have tried to represent it. That's the need. Because I'm not going to live, I'm going to die. And maybe sooner than you think. Yes, who knows? And what will happen with you all still looking for a Jesus to take all of your responsibilities upon his shoulder? God never intended no such. That's a message for the people they want to exploit. They want to take out of the race. Religious freedom is what you still should be seeking. You're Muslims, but the message of freedom is subtle, but it's stronger in this religion than it is in any other religion. But when we pray, we can't even leave it to the imam to pray for us. We have to know our own prayers. We have to know how to do it by ourselves. We have to keep the sunnah of the Prophet. After Imam has prayed, you have to be able to stand by yourself and pray. So what is the real meaning of the Prophet's sunnah? True democracy. True democracy. Where the individual is capable of leadership for himself. That's the real message of his sunnah. That the individual must share in the responsibility for carrying the burden of society. He must be able to carry out the functions alone, the knowledge for how to live, and carry the burden or the weight of government and society must not be on one man's shoulder, but on the shoulder of all of them. And if they understand the sign of Christ, that is a sign. Yes. For they say Jesus is the one promised in Ezekiel, not Ezekiel, one of those books in the Bible, I can't recall it right now, says, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. Wonderful counselor, etc., etc. But did Jesus say he was a symbol of one man? No. He said, I in the Father, and you in me. And you in me. Meaning that I have my strength in obedience to God, following his guidance, and you have yours in my a symbol, my sign. I'm a sign of a collective government, a government of many in one body, under God. In the church, they use the expression, they call it the body of Christ, And they refer to the members of the church. Don't you know every church is a government? A lot of preachers don't know it, but this land and this law allows religion to have its own independent government. And they are supposed to be the members in that government. And it is supposed to be shouldered by all the members in that body. And Christ is a sign of that body, as he's a sign of many mysteries. Now what I'm saying to you, that Christ is only symbolism. Muhammad is the real thing. He's not a myth, he's not a symbol, he's not a sign, he's a flesh and blood man that lived, and historians have written about him that were not Muslims. So wake up and see the great opportunity before you to come into the great life of Al-Islam, become an established community and an established people with guidance to guide your feet, to guide your destiny, to bring you into abundance of life and prosperity, if you will only wake up and be true to this calling. Yes. Wake up before it's too late. In my conclusion.
Yes. Greetings, we're there with you again, as we said. For those of you who are still trying to figure out Al-Islam, not the Nation of Islam, Al-Islam, you need to stop saying Arab Islam. Al-Islam is a way of life, a complete way of life. Al-Islam is the morals of the human being fabric. Al-Islam is about relationship. Al-Islam is about dignity. Al-Islam is about living. Al-Islam is about a universality of character. Al-Islam. It's about human justice. Not European, not colonial justice, human justice that the Creator has given to all of us. Al-Islam. So we focus on the totality, not what some people are saying that don't have a clue about Islam or Al-Islam. But they have an understanding or vague understanding or realization of Christianity. So perhaps they use that same psychology to examine Al-Islam. They perhaps have never read the Quran, but they've heard people saying things. They perhaps have this understanding from those who say things that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, copied the books, or what they call the Bible. But you have to read first. The Quran speaks for itself because the Creator is the one who is explaining to us generations before and what were their failures, what they were instructed to do and not to do. So we get an understanding of human attitudes and human behaviors and human disobedience and human obedience. That's what it's all about. The Creator speaking to the world, informing us, because we weren't there. So we would understand, or should try to understand and appreciate. But then in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O you mankind, go through the world, go through the earth, and see the remain of various nations before." Now, if they all vanish, how did we get here? Serious question, you know. If they were all denied life, how on earth did we get here? So cycles of generations were obedient. But he's asking us to travel through the earth and have a look. Now, a good teacher would say something like that, but they would illustrate. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And I'm using my human mind. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have requested of us. You know? So, if he tells us about a kingdom, then we can travel to the earth and see that kingdom, where that kingdom was. And then to realize that that kingdom were given choices. You know, the freedom of choice? But messengers and warners came to them, as he always says he would do. He told our father and mother this. He would never forsake us. To help us stay on track. To enjoy life. Life is not the mystery that the Caucasians and other people create. Wars, conflicts, who's got the biggest gun, the fastest planes. No, that's not life. It's not life. But we look at that and analyze that, and then we say, yo, that's technology. And that's supposed to satisfy the minds of people. it's technology, right? So we need to grow. We need to grow. That's also true. But to what ends are we doing this growing? What are you driving at? And then man is now dissatisfied with man. So he's transforming himself. A man says, hey, I don't want to be a man no more. I wasn't made to be a man. I never liked this position. I always wanted to be a female and stuff like this. Some say I'm not beautiful. I want to look more, and so on and so on. And it continues. This is science also, This is anything that we're curious about and we spend time pondering, researching, it's called science. But it's what you do with it. And then how did the mind get there? Where did that thought come from? And then someone had an argument or disagreement. And that someone got a lot of other people that felt that perhaps didn't feel their way, but they convinced them. And one group, one set of people decide cha, and the other set of people said cha, and then them have a conflict. And they call that conflict World War. And people who don't know nothing about the something got drawn into the something, lose them life, and kill other people that they don't even know nothing about, and them have the stain of murder and in their soul. But hundreds of thousands, millions of people suffered and died. And were not died, were killed. That was science too, with grievance. But no form of tolerance. Lacking of what? Communication skills. Wanting to show how courageous they are. And then those people who are studying ammunition, munitions, says we can deal with them. In 2 months, we can make 50,000 bombs of these things here that we're going to call bombs. And if you drop them 3, 4 at a time, be so devastating. You demolish properties, peoples, all sorts. And someone says, go ahead. And months before, the people in the country is starving. And those people who call themselves governments, they plead, say that they don't have no money. But now them have money to give to this so-called scientist, this researcher, to build these things of destruction. But remember, they're looking forward, not the one who's building it, the one who's going to receive and drop it. Because they say when they finish, they're going to conquer that land. They're going to inherit that land and those people and all their possessions at the same time. So, isn't that in the scriptures? The Bible? I mean, the Bible is all about some kind of destructive nonsense. The Quran says, defend yourself. And how to go about defending ourselves. And to negotiate with those people who are angry and waging hostility. But if they don't desist, turn not your back to them. And prepare yourself Prepare yourself, but do not forget your humanity in the first place. When all else has failed, you have to represent yourself and your families. Your immediate community. Read it for yourselves. That's Al-Islam. But it also tells us how to fight. See, I now use the word fight, because defend yourself, you have to get physical. But it tells us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us how to go about doing that. It doesn't tell us how to go in, but how to go about, what kind of approach you're supposed to have. Because we're wanting not to be fighting. We're wanting to reach a level of understanding. That's human. Anything else is not. We're taking ourselves out of our realm. So I'm saying all of this, and I've said all of that, for those people who keep shouting, screaming that Al-Islam is not ours, it hasn't done anything for us, it belongs to the Arabs. But those same people that we say this so loudly, they themselves are Christian. But they like lawlessness, wickedness, because they're saying their Redeemer have paid the price for their wicked and evil seductive ways. This is the general picture that they have. Not our own people. All of them who call themselves Jesus followers. Because I don't know who this person is or meant to be. We know Christ, we know Isa alayhi salam. So, my dear beloved brothers and sisters, African brothers and sisters, stop it. Al-Islam belongs to humanity. Whether it's a white man, which we didn't want to say, whether it's a European man, it's a Chinese man, human beings. Because when you all are speaking, do you have black oxygen? Do you have black water? Is there such thing that's exclusive just to black African people? Do you have black sun? Do you have black food? Let's think. Be a scientist. Be logical. Be critical. Be fair. Be just. Stop letting this thing cause us this poison, because what is it that people who think like this, that get bogged down with racism, the man's illness, and then we're seeking black everywhere? Shouldn't we try to develop ourselves? Shouldn't we try to be in love with ourselves? There's something wrong. There's something wrong. And if we explore ourselves, research ourselves, we see that we recognize that we're not deviant, we're not murderous. We have our frailties like other people, but we're not in that. We're not wicked. We're not wicked and terrible. We've learned to become wicked and terrible, some of us. And all those qualities has nothing to do with being black and superior. It has a lot to do, it is about being human. And we have utilized our faculties learning and appreciating ourselves and appreciating nature. And we fall in love with all of it. But someone has tried to take all that away from us. I told someone yesterday, examine the Chinese. Really examine them. The historical Chinese, not today. They shouldn't be here. And if they were, they're supposed to be rebels. They're not supposed to appreciate nobody. They were brutalized and killed by the thousands in them own land. The Chinese, they were a victim of brutality. The Chinese. And then sit with the Japanese and ask them, why did you do such things? And then sit with the British and ask them, why did you do such things? And that's just in China, the British. Now we can ask them why did they do such thing across the world, but just China. The reason I'm bringing them up is that they worked within themselves and restructured themselves. And developed their land and buried their dead. And their foreign deads also. And then they charted a way for themselves as human beings, as Chinese. They studied, they researched. But they continue to study the land, their environment, and make love to themselves. There's no nation on earth that gave them what they've accomplished. Because are you going to say that it's aliens that came from somewhere and gave them the insight to technologies? Not technology, technologies. And if anyone should be seeking revenge in this earth, shouldn't it not be them? But if you don't know, you can't say yes or no. Our prophet told us, look to China, the far off land of China. Huh? The same way he sent the Sahabis for refuge in Abyssinia. But who came and interfered with Abyssinia, with Ethiopia, Abyssinia? Not ourselves. other than ourselves, and who stayed and watched, like they were watching the way they watch these football games? The Europeans. And who did we plead to? The Europeans. Where? At the League of Nations. And what happened? They laughed at us. They drowned out His Imperial Majesty's voice. But when he switched it up on them so they can understand the language that they all understand, they still made the same racket. But then they stood by and watched gases, scientific munitions being dropped upon them, mustard gas and other forms. This is what these Europeans and others have done. Are you going to blame black gold oil for those happenings? Are you going to blame Al-Islam for those happenings? Are you going to blame Al-Quran, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, his companions, his Sahabis, and all of us who have embraced it, Al-Islam? You're going to blame them, blame us for all those happenings? Are you for real? And then when you decide to do your history based on Caucasians' history, European people history, what was the crusade about? Did Africans leave Abyssinia and come to France and England and Germany and Russia? No. Search it for yourself today. Google and AI and GTS, all those things, try to find. And see where the Muslims finish up in this. See where the Prophet finish up in this. See where the Quran finish up in this. Because we're not in it. But then we became the defenders of humanity. The Muslims. Especially in the place called Al-Quds. You need to understand and realize where was Jerusalem? And then ask yourselves and ask them, why did they leave their side of the world to go there? And not to go there to greet people and be hospitable. They were armed. Even the animals were armed. Their intention from they set out from their homes, they were training for months, perhaps years. Some people said more than 2 years. They put their armies together. They collaborate with each other all across Europe, and everybody sent so many. Right? So they didn't have 1,000 people. No. Stop reading nonsense about Richard the Lionheart. Get down to the nitty-gritty. And then ask yourself, was Africa sleeping? Or was Africa observing? Was Africa part of the finale? No, they came to our land and brutalized us. Oh, but you're going to go slavery? Everybody has slavery, included us. Everybody has slaves, included us. For all forms of reason. Look at the reasons. Now, not everyone castrated people, but we understand that. Not understand why it happened. We knew who did it. One barbaric thing that was inflicted upon us. But the eugenics that was inflicted by us, and the genocide that was inflicted by us, by England, Germany, and France. Do you know anything about it? Do you know anything about the Germans really wanted to breed our Nubian females? Do you? Do you know the barbaric, nasty, vulgar things that they did and putting our sisters out in the desert? You either allow us to pregnate you or you stay here and suffer and die a miserable death under the heat and the torture of the desert. Do you know this? This is European history. This is not African history. This is European history. Eugenics, do you know? And genocide, do you really know? No, you just know about something that people are telling you, told us, that allegedly happened in the second war. Now look at what those people, allegedly, sons and daughters, grandchildren of those people that was allegedly inflicted, look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. And you're afraid to speak about them. You're afraid to speak about them. And just the other day, the last 2.5 years, they got so bold, and the American governments and American ministers, the Senate, both houses, stand up straight away and go, hey, we love Israel. We love things. We're Zionists. Right? So now we know that, hey, you know what? This is all about a war against al-Islam, a war against Africa, African people. It's always been. But you haven't been looking. You haven't been understanding. You've never even asked yourself, what is this racism all about? What is it doing to us? So that you can start ignoring it. Ignore it to the point where it doesn't pollute our faculties. Because that's what it's designed to do. But yet still, you're not looking there. But you continue to be this what do you call those minstrel? You're gonna run, you're gonna play an amusement, you're gonna do all these little trinket things that they like. Yes, sir, yes, Guana. 3 bags full, sir. Give them your daughter. Give them your son. I mean, even when we come together and we get married, one European and one African, you see how quick them take the child? They take the child from us. They pretend that they don't like our shade, but they're lying. Huh? Them take the child from us. We have to ask them, we have to examine that and ask them, what is your fascination about mixed breed? And we have to say to our young men, we have to say to ourselves, period. Don't be giving up the pearls to swines. Don't. No good is coming out of this. And our Bob Marleys are kicking our asses right now. Now, you know, Bob done his thing. But I mean, you look at the complexion, look at the background, and Bob favor us more than everything else, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Well, it shouldn't be like that, because we're human beings. But he came up in the climate. Came up in the climate. They told us that we would not feature on TV. We're too dark. So they waited and waited and waited until they get the Bob Marleys. And then it was all good. So the Wailers was all good, but Bob was all right. Peter and Bunny and the Barrett brothers and everything, them was too dark, so they put them rear back out there, sir, and bring Bob up here, sir. And then them say, a Bob Marley and the Wailers. See that there? Separate the thing. But them say it's economically prudent, it's marketable, and all these superlatives that's being used. And now we've got our jackass children using the same thing, and then they go and get some browning and put ahead of them and expect royalties, expecting... Hey, listen, Star, it's gone bad. Anyway, may Allah forgive me, I'm deviating. 2 tunes and I'm gone.
Let's not quarrel. Let's not fight. Let's get together. We all can unite. Then take off these chains from off our feet. 'Cause we gonna walk on freedom street.
Hey, me I tell you now, me love myself, you know, Star. Me I tell you, me wicked, you know. Me wicked up, me can't done. Hey, God forgive me. I tell you. So you see now, no one forced us or gunpoint us or sword us to research Islam or read the Quran or learn to read the Quran. No one did any of those things to say you must get a woman and this is what you must do to her, and then when you have children, this is what you must do to them. No, nothing goes so. Right? So that's why we always try to tell people, you know, you can come and spend 3 days in a we house, we home, and see what we do, how we do what we do, how we live. You can come during the month of Ramadan or before the month of Ramadan start and see how we prepare ourselves for that month. You can start the first week with us and see how we go through that month. Are we laboring? Are we crying? Are we vexed? Right? You understand? Is there someone turning up and say, yes, in here, you mustn't eat today, you know, and so forth, right? We're always encouraging people, because we don't do that dawah, that chatty, Jesus and more Jesus and more Jesus. We used to, but not on that level. We did that in terms of comparing Al-Quran with the Bible and so on. And only for some segments. You understand? Once we clear up the fact that we understand Moses alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam and so forth, we leave off on what God is given to all of us, what he wants us to do, and how he would love us and appreciate us living. That's al-Islam. That's the sunnah of the Prophet, the most beautiful thing that the Prophet have said to us, not the most beautiful, but when he was doing dawah, is La ilaha illallah. There is no God. There is no deity but Allah. The Quran is not Muhammad's book. The Quran is not Muhammad's writing. The Quran is not Muhammad's instruction. Not he be there promoting himself. I don't know how embryology, biology, astrology, and all those things are in the Quran, and there's no way that the Prophet could know anything about any galaxies or any, what do you call this thing, universe and ozone layers, and I mean, come on. What, are we so racist, are we so prejudiced that we can't think? But that shows that you all have not, you know, these people that keep going on about Arab, you haven't read the Quran. You haven't read the Quran. How we ourselves are being fashioned in the wombs of our mothers and everything. How the sperm travels and meets. And yo, here what happened. There was no binoculars. There was no what do you call this thing? Extra. Listen here. And we're not making mistakes about flesh before bone and no. Stop it. Stop it. It's a marvelous thing, Al-Quran. And while the hostility is there, fast with us. You know what happens? The emotion quenches. The anxiety quenches. Huh? One become more real. Not for me, for ourselves. The same way you're going to say, you know what, I may not be Usain Bolt, but I'm going to go around and do some track. I may not be Michael Jordan, but I'm going to show that I've got some athletical creativity in my head. Yes. I may not be Garfield Sobers, but I'm going to take that cricket bat and I'm going to make some runs. I may not make 6 fours or 6 sixes, but I'm going to stay there and guard my wicket. And yeah, and may God forgive him and bless his soul, because we just got the news that he just died. You know what they call him? Sir Garfield Sobers. Yeah, Sir Garfield Sobers. You understand? We call a classic man with a piece of wood in him hand, and his footwork is like he's dancing. You understand? Classic. A man with a piece of wood in him hand, and him a going somewhere like a conductor. And all he's doing is watching a ball and stroke that ball, and sometimes he lash that ball. Sometimes he tame that ball, and another time him just stroke it, and another time him just blaze it. Garfield Sobers. Anyway, we're gone. One more. Hey, Junior. Guidance. Yeah, you see reggae music? A reggae music is the king's music, you know. We that. It's some bad people that come about the place try to interfere with we. And some of us that are gluttonous, you understand? We just run for keep company with them people there to get some money and some spotlight after people them. And the people them are come not for eat, you know, the people come for tech and transform everything and then run back to them country with everything that belong to we and start tell stories. Stories, you know. And make out say that we couldn't have accomplished none of these things without friction, bad man tactics, and drugs. And the best of us back home is not saying nothing to these people. Nothing. I try to make out that our groups, our reggae bands and everything could not have created such things without some artificial this and that, and without some bad man this and that. You understand? Because them they American, you know, and them a take America, Al Capone and all of these different things, and right? So you know the next generation everything and look upon them something there and then don't want to associate with them grandfather, which is me, and so forth, and express ourselves. Right? So instead of us staying with our thing We got to launch ourselves with people that never appreciate us and people that real racist against us and everything and are exploiters of our women. Make sense of that. Make sense of that. We have ruined ourselves. We have ruined ourselves. All these idiot children that want to go to America and think, since America is the center of the whole world, they want Grammy, they want this, they want that, and then go up there and them have to take off them clothes, them have to snort, them have to show them appreciation to them have to show that them not accept no morality. Huh? Anything goes. Why? And it's nothing to do with them don't have no education. You know? It's to do with them being lustful. And them appreciate the colonial people them more than ourselves. Their wide eye is about getting or having something that these people have. Me can drive a Rolls Royce if me want to drive a Rolls Royce, you know. And not just drive it, own it. But when me do that now, what me do with my children? Huh? 2 years down the road, me have my children them pimping? Are you crazy? When me gone, the Rolls Royce could have, hey, the minute you take it and become we is what we is as African, it already got devalued. It's already got devalued. So me gone now and the children them need for have some inheritance and everything. You think so the Rolls Royce is going to be adequately enough to deal with them? I was just trying to make other people them say that me could have a Rolls Royce and me drive a Rolls Royce before me part. I ignorant think that. Nah. My mother never raised me so stupid. You understand? And you have to give thanks for what you get. And you have to give thanks to every night and every morning. 'Cause if you wake up a morning and say, you know, say, alive, you're alive. A lot of people don't come up. A lot of people don't come above ground. They've been made ready for below ground. A lot of people are suffering ailments. And we're going to sell out the pearls. No. No. Junior. Guidance.
white man.